Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artark as we explore some of the builds I showed in my Builds You Should Know video. First, graphic. When you do this stuff, it helps the things that the algorithm does, and lots of stuff happens, and it's all good for everyone. With that said, let's get started. And because we are in the university, it's prismatic, and I was tempted by a lot of these, especially Double Trouble, but I hadn't gotten any Shadow Isles out of the NPC round, and I like to use Double Trouble with them. Reroll, nothing thrilling. I decided to go with Shopping Spree in the hopes that it will allow me to build a big team. Once I started getting a lot of Renektons, as I mentioned in my other video, if I see a lot of Renektons, I think then Shurima might not be the worst idea in the world. Didn't get lucky enough for the 3 Shurima, so I had to just 2-star another champ. I chose Samira just because I could at that point, just to try to win the first round, but the Rek'Sai was able to get in, do enough damage that we are taken right down. Item-wise, not a great selection. Already have the bow we need for the Rage Blade, have the sparring glove we need for a jeweled gauntlet, grab the Negatron cloak just in case I can get another to make a Dragon's Claw later on. I'm holding my roll right now because I want a better chance of getting 2 costs, so it's better to just wait another round so the percentage goes up a little. I'll also have a chance of getting 3 costs, and that would mean action. Rolled through, didn't get another Shurima, but I was able to pick up Teemo, and Teemo is important to this build for 2 reasons. He creates multicaster with Talia if we ever find her, and then strategist with Azir if we ever find him. Of course, you're hoping that you find everyone because you need all 7 Shurimans in order for this to even have a remote chance of working. Item-wise, spatulas are always tempting, but not really worth it, because to get to 9 Shurima, you're gonna need 2 spatulas and 2 emblems, so it's not that easy to get to. So instead, we grab the items for a Rage Blade, an absolutely key Azir item, and then use Cassiopeia as our item holder, as it's easy to find 2 2-star versions of her. Not having the actual Shurima trait ticked this late into stage 4, making me a little bit nervous, but I do have a lot of Renektons, so I'm pretty confident I can get him up to 3 stars. I'm just going to need to find that Talia or Action so I can get Shurima in stage 5. Luckily, through the NPC round, we got both Action and Talia, so we're set in terms of Shurimans. But what augment can we get? I'm not a fan of Cursed Crown. It's a little too risky at times. Gifts from above is pretty good, especially in a build like this where I'm holding items back for later champions. I am going to go ahead and put the Warmogs on Renekton because I'm still hoping to get him up to 3 stars. And as you can see, having those items and that Shurima buff is going to help a ton. It helps keep everyone healed just a little bit, gives us a little more power, and allows us to get through and actually start winning. So we're 1 Renekton away. Item-wise here, lots of different possibilities. The Negatron cloak does give us the power to create the Dragon's Claw at some point. We have the possibility of the Strategist or Invoker emblem. Strategist would allow us to go to 4. The Invoker, though, however, will give us team-wide mana boost that you wouldn't otherwise get, since Cassiopeia is going to stay part of the team and there is no other Invoker in the Shurima build. And one of the rough things with Shurima is you're really hoping on a little bit of luck, because you want to get to Shurima 5 in stage 6 or it's going to be tough to get through, but that requires getting one of the 4 costs or having an emblem that's going to give you the 5. Now, if your friend at Riot just isn't around, they're just not around, and it's going to be rough through stage 6 on Shurima because you're counting on everyone ascending, which is what happens at 5 Shurimans. So before that, it's a little dicey. Luckily, we did find a Nasus, so we are going to get that 5 Shuriman power spike, and not a moment too soon as we were in trouble. 2 Tactician's Crowns may have been good earlier, but at this point, Golden Ticket is probably our best chance as we're hoping to get all of our Shurimans up to 2 stars. Nasus, key items, Bloodthirster, Titan's Resolve, just as much as you can do of it. We luckily got a champion duplicator, so we were able to get Nasus up to 2 stars, and then we continue building Azir items onto Cassiopeia. Hopefully we get Azir and can transfer them over. Now we found an Azir, but not obviously in time to bring him into the match, and that's the 4 cost we really need because he will stack with Teemo to give us Strategist, which gives us more shielding up front and AP power in the back. Luckily, we get to bring him in next round. We also found a Jarvan and brought him in instead of Cassiopeia, because 5 or 6 Shurima doesn't make that much of a difference, but 2, 3 Strategist, that does. It increases the AP and the shield. You can see our backline is a little bit stronger, our front line just a tiny bit tankier, and it's enough to allow us to stay in the match. We're using our golden ticket for all it's worth and have 2-starred the Azir and 2-starred the Jarvan. That's going to be key. We also want to make Renekton really tanky. He's getting a decent shield at the start of the match, so we can go Bramble Vest, Warmogs, Ionic Spark. The Ionic Spark will reduce magic resist, which will help with the majority of our backline. And finally, we get to see all the elements come together. That little extra shield up front keeps everyone up a little longer. The additional AP in the back puts out more damage, and the healing from the Shurima trait keeps us alive and allows us to keep doing damage and pull through that match. We have locked for Cassante, so hoping to get through this round. That will then give us the 7 Shurima, 3 Strategist, which is kind of the perfect embodiment of this build. Second story is we are just 2 Nasi away from getting him up to gold. And with that win, we are into the top 4. And just FYI, the reason I make such a big deal out of getting into the top 4 is because this is the point you've won. This should be your first and primary goal in every match, is getting into that top 4. After this, it's just going to be a lot of luck that takes you to the next level. And that luck can come in the form of items, champions, all types of different things. Remember, I mentioned Bloodthirsters and Titan's Resolves are what you want for Nasus, so grab another Titan's Resolve, roll. There is a gold 3-star Nasus who's going to be able to dominate the front line. And luckily, there is no Piltover team to just rain on our parade at this point, because a 3-star Nasus could go down to a Piltover team, but not likely to any of the conventional builds. He can take a Lux ult right to the face, just get annoyed, walk over, and dance in front of her. Then we meet a Slayer team with a whole bunch of 3-star champs, but 3-star Nasus does not mess around. Even though he gets stunned and spends a large amount of time just standing there wondering what to do, he is still going to be key in finishing this entire match off, and then of course, leading the damage charts. Now remember, earlier in the match there was a person with a Void Soul, which means there is a good chance there is somebody with the 8 Void, which means Baron is going to come out to play. Normally I would move away from it, but with a 3-star Nasus, I'm more inclined to just be able to try to take on Baron from the beginning rather than allowing it to get started. I'll get a quick stun, but Nasus is going to be so big and so strong that he alone could end up just soloing Baron. And you can see that here. He just tanks him, takes him down, moves into the backline, finishes it off, and crushes the damage charts. The final team to get through is that Slayer Noxus team with tons of 3-star champs, 3-star Darius, 3-star Cat, 3-star almost everything, but we have the 3-star that's going to make the biggest difference. If they had a 3-star Gwen, this would have been a completely different fight. But nothing on that team is going to be able to come close to competing with Nasus. You can see that with the Bloodthirsters and the Titans resolve, he is barely losing health as he takes things down, and it's soon GG for everyone. It's best to go with Shurima when you have them early. Waiting this long is a bit of a risk, but it can pay off. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.